Okay, here we go again with another session of Tech Unplugged Live at the NetApp Insight in Berlin. Hi Jeremiah.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you again.
So you're working for the office of the CTO at Solidfire,
Yes,
now
sir.
part of NetApp.
Now part of NetApp.
Okay, so I got it right this time because sometimes NetApp, Solidfire, that's okay. But and we are here to talk a little bit about Element OS 9.
Yes,
you
sir.
you are in a pretty crazy kind of schedule with releases like 6 months or so?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. Element OS is the storage software that we use for the Solidfire product. And we just released the 9th version of that, which we've codenamed Fluorine, here I guess about a week and a half ago. And the software releases for us have always been the most important part of the product. Right? It's commodity hardware, it's commercial MLC flash drives. The software has always been where we make the magic that is Solidfire. Yeah. We had originally wanted to do longer releases. So we had originally wanted to do full year between releases, and what we found was the releases just ended up being too big. We had too many features, too much code to pack into those releases, especially as a startup where we were able to really kind of iterate the feature set really quickly. We then cut it down to 6 months, where we were going to do 2 releases a year, and what we found was that particularly enterprise customers, 2 upgrades a year was too many. And so just the process that they had to go through and the testing that they wanted to go through, 6 months was too many. So we've tried to find a happy medium, somewhere between 9 and 12 months, where we get enough time to put in a real update, lots of new features, something that's really meaningful for the customers, but not so soon that the upgrade process ends up being hard for them.
I see. So what's new in the version 9?
Element OS 9 is a pretty fun release. I mean, I guess first and foremost is the full support for the VASA provider and VMware virtual volumes. So being able to deliver virtual volumes the same way that we've always delivered storage for OpenStack, being able to really leverage QoS on a per virtual disk basis, really being able to take the architecture that Solidfire does really well and finally bring it to something smaller than a VMFS data store. It has been really exciting, but there's a bunch of other things that are in there. One that our enterprise customers have been really interested in is that we've doubled the scale of the fiber channel feature for the Solidfire clusters. So Solidfire's native iSCSI on the back end, but for our enterprise customers, particularly ones who've invested in a fiber channel infrastructure, being able to provide that for them was really important, and we doubled the amount of fiber channel front-end ports that we can support, so we've doubled the amount of bandwidth, and more than doubled the amount of I/O that we can support on the back end. So the fiber channel upgrades, the VMware virtual volumes have both been really big features that our customers have been looking forward to, and features that our customers will get for free with the Element OS 9 upgrade.
Yeah, also you are now part of this data fabric initiative where all the products can talk to each other. So it's just at the moment, a certification process, because you were already able to talk with an S3 repository. Correct. In the backend. Or there is more.
There is more, and I think that we start to see the foundations of that with the Fluorine release. Right, we start to see, so the Fluorine release was largely feature complete before the acquisition by NetApp. So the majority of this, the vVols, the new UI that we've put in place, the fiber channel upgrades, these were going to happen regardless. What we've started to see put in is the basis for us really being able to embrace the rest of that NetApp Data Fabric portfolio. The S3 interoperability is the first of it, but really being able to take the idea of snapshots that can live across product groups, and being able to take snapshots from one product or from one way that we deliver a product and turning it into something that can be used on another NetApp product, so that we can start to integrate the Solidfires and the FASs and the storage grids. I think that the Neon release, which will happen sometime at the end of next summer most likely, will be where we really start to see all of the work that Fluorine set up start to turn into that real data fabric story from NetApp.
So it will put the end user in a situation that they can choose different products independently, okay, but the layer on top and the workloads, just the dollar per gigabyte, quality of service. So
yeah, it's the power of the portfolio, right? And I've worked for companies that brought a portfolio to market, but the portfolio was only tied together by the use cases.
Yeah.
If you had a database, you bought this product. If you had a virtualization environment, you bought this product. But there was never any horizontal management or consumption model or data movement that tied those together. So NetApp has a great portfolio. Right? We're really happy with the 5 different storage technologies that we have in the portfolio and how they fit for the use cases. But I think the way that we make that more relatable to customers and the way that we show the value of not just the individual products per use case, but the portfolio as a whole, is to really start to break down some of the barriers that say, if you want to use Solidfire for this use case, and you want to take snapshots as part of your disaster recovery or business continuity process, why not store those snapshots on something that is more appropriate, whether it's from a financial standpoint or from an architecture standpoint, for the data that you're using, rather than having to spend flash in order to be able to protect them. And I think that once we get to that point, what is a great product portfolio becomes a really interesting strategic portfolio.
Yeah. Also, so I want to take the chance of this interview just to ask one more thing about Arcvhitect in this case. So all the features that you have in Element OS 9 are aligned with Element X. It's just because there is a different certification process for the hardware, right?
Sure, so Element X is our way of delivering a software-only version of Solidfire. And today we have Element OS 9 certified on 2 different hardware platforms. And going forward, the hope is to be able to put in place a really robust, straightforward certification process so that if a customer wants to manage their own supply chain, they can bring their own hardware. We jointly agree on what the bill of materials will be and what that hardware build will look like, and then we support the software. The important part that I think you were pointing out is the Element OS software is exactly the same.
Okay,
there's no difference between a customer who buys the appliances and a customer who decides to deploy it as an Element X deployment, or a customer who uses Solidfire as part of their service provider offering. Right? It's the same code, same model, same feature set, and same release cadence across all of those.
Wow, that's great. So I asked this to all your colleagues, also to you, where we can find more about all of this.
So I think online we've got lots of good resources. I mean, the solidfire.com website, we're in the process of completely refreshing that with all sorts of new content. The Solidfire brand remains the way we wanted it to, as we can see here from the show. Personally, Twitter's probably the best place. If you have any questions for me, or if there's anything that I can follow up with, it's at jdooley_CLT, and happy to answer any questions or provide any more information that I can.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you, Enrico.